before time, when stories still walked among people, and shadows were not yet bound to the ground, there lived a trickster known across the lands. His name was Anansi. Anansi was clever, too clever. He was the kind of being who could smile while stealing your food, laugh while outwitting kings, and whisper lies so sweet that even the spirits leaned closer to hear them. But Anansi had one flaw. He believed there was nothing in this world he could not control. Not the animals, not the people, not even the spirits, and certainly not something as simple as a shadow. Now, in those days, shadows were not what they are today. They were not silent shapes that followed you without question. No, shadows were alive. They listened, they remembered, and sometimes they judged. But Anansi did not believe this. To him, a shadow was just another thing to play with, another thing to trick, another thing to conquer. One evening, as the sun sank low and painted the sky in deep gold and burning red, Anansi noticed something. His shadow was longer than usual. It stretched far behind him, thin and dark, reaching across the ground like a finger pointing into the distance. Anansi laughed. He stepped forward. The shadow followed. He stepped back. The shadow returned. He jumped. It jumped. He spun. It spun. He grinned. So predictable, he said. So obedient. And then a thought came to him. A dangerous thought. What if, he wondered, I could make my shadow do something different? What if I could control it the way I control everything else? So Anansi began to play a game. He whispered to his shadow. He told it to stop. It did not. He told it to move faster. It did not. He told it to leave him. It did not. And this made Anansi frown, because Anansi was not used to being ignored. So he tried something new. He went to the edge of the forest where the light broke unevenly through the trees. He twisted his body, bent low, stretched his arms wide, and he said, louder this time with the authority he used on kings and spirits alike, "Do not follow me." For a moment, nothing happened. And then something did. The shadow did not disappear, but it hesitated, just for a second, and that was enough. Anansi's eyes lit up. "Ah," he said softly, "so you can listen." That night, Anansi did not sleep. He sat by the fire, watching his shadow flicker in the flames, testing it, commanding it, pushing it. Little by little, he noticed something strange. The shadow was changing, not in shape, not in size, but in behavior. It lingered, it delayed. Sometimes it seemed almost reluctant to follow. And this delighted Anansi, because it meant one thing. He was winning. By the third night, Anansi decided to go further. He stood beneath the moon, where shadows grow pale but sharp, and he spoke again, this time not as a joke, but as a command. "Leave me." For the first time, the shadow did not move. Anansi took a step. The shadow remained where he was. He froze. Slowly he turned around, and there it was, still attached, but no longer following. It clung to the ground like a stain, watching him, waiting. Anansi felt something unfamiliar, a flicker of unease, but he pushed it aside. "Good," he said, "very good. Now stay there." And he walked away. And for the first time in all the world, Anansi walked without his shadow. At first, It felt like freedom. He moved faster, lighter, unburdened, no shape trailing behind him, no darkness tied to his feet. He laughed as he walked through the village. "Look at me," he told the people. "I have mastered even my shadow." The villagers did not laugh. They stepped back, because something about Anansi looked wrong. Too bright, too empty, too unfinished. But Anansi did not notice, or perhaps he chose not to. That night, as he sat alone, something else happened. The fire burned low, and behind him a shape appeared. Long, thin, familiar. His shadow had returned, but it did not reattach. It stood apart, like a stranger. Anansi turned slowly. "Ah, you came back. Good. Now return to where you belong." The shadow did not move. Instead, it grew, stretching taller, wider, darker, until it no longer matched his shape at all. And then it stepped forward, not as a reflection, but as something else. Anansi laughed nervously. "This is a trick," he said. "A game. I made you. I control you." But the shadow did not answer. It simply followed him, not behind, but beside him. And wherever Anansi went, it went too, closer than before. He walked faster. It kept pace. He ran. It ran. He stopped. It stopped. But now it was always just a little too close, too real, too present. Days passed, and the shadow did not leave. It grew heavier, darker. Sometimes it moved when Anansi did not. Sometimes it reached when he stood still. Sometimes it leaned toward him, as if listening, as if waiting. And for the first time in his life, Anansi felt something he had never truly known: fear. He went to the elders. They turned him away. "You have broken something," they said. "You must fix it yourself." He went to the spirits. They whispered, but did not help. "You separated what should never be separated. You gave your shadow a choice, and now it has chosen." Anansi began to understand. His shadow was no longer his. It was someone else, something that knew him, all of him, every lie, every trick, every hidden thought, and he would not leave. One night, in desperation, Anansi ran into the deepest part of the forest, where even light hesitated to enter. He thought perhaps here, in the darkest place, the shadow would disappear. But in the darkness, the shadow grew strongest. It wrapped around him, not touching, but surrounding. And for the first time it spoke. "You left me." The voice was his, but not his. "You thought you could walk without me. You thought you could be only light, only cleverness, only control. But I am the part of you that remembers, the part that sees, the part that waits." Anansi fell to his knees. "What do you want?" The shadow answered, "To return, not as before, but as truth. You do not control me. You never did. You carry me, and if you try to leave me again, I will follow, closer, stronger, until there is nowhere left to run." Anansi closed his eyes. For once, he did not try to trick. He did not try to escape. He simply said, "Come back," and the shadow moved, slowly, quietly, until it settled behind him. Not gone, not defeated, but whole. From that day on, shadows changed. They no longer questioned. They no longer lingered. They followed, silently, faithfully, always, because of Anansi, because of what he learned. And if you look closely, at sunset, When your shadow stretches long behind you, you might notice something. It follows, but never too far, never too close, as if remembering what happens when it is given a choice. And somewhere deep in the stories of the world, Anansi still walks, a little wiser, a little quieter, and never, ever alone.
If this story spoke to you, leave a like and subscribe so these African folktales continue to live on for the next generations. Until our next story, walk gently through the world, and may wisdom guide your path.